Y'all know why we're here already. Ladies and gentlemen, we are back. Yes, we are back with another chapter coverage of Centuria. And we're going to be picking right back up with chapter 22. It feels so good to say that, you know. If you haven't tuned into Centuria yet, I highly recommend you do so. It's literally the crux of my channel right now, and overall it's one of the highest quality, most underrated ongoing manga currently out there. If you need something new to try, I think Centuria is a great fit for you. Without any further ado, though, let's dive straight in. Now, in the last chapter, we witnessed the chilling, harrowing death of Engval, one of the most beloved characters in the series, and a personal favorite of mine, making it all the more gut-wrenching when she was killed by Arcos Balkar, the son of the Supreme Lord and the main villain of this current arc. And our dear boy Julian, the main protagonist, has become blinded by rage, driven mad with intent to avenge Engval's life at the cost of Arcos. And at the same time, Arcos expresses this twisted desire to fight somebody interesting, somebody powerful, and someone who provides him that dopamine rush he chases. And going into this fight, Arcos is expecting to kill Julian rather easily. He's underestimating him. The opening tagline to this chapter reads, "The black smoke of his fury rises. The time has come for him to unleash his full power. There's no more room for holding back." Black smoke and water circulate around Julian and Arcos' hands respectively, and Arcos taunts Julian, saying, "Come on! Come at me with all you've got!" The two stare each other down with varying levels of violence after Arcos lays down the challenge. This is Centuria chapter 22, Julian versus Arcos. Oh yeah, baby, get ready for some hands to be thrown. I got chills right now, bro. I'm feeling like Dwayne Johnson in his prime. Julian opens with a powerful right hook towards Arcos, infused with the power of the ocean and 100 lives, and makes contact with Arcos' blood armor, which is essentially his Gaara-like ability to protect himself with a shield made of blood, hardening it within his system at all times. However, Julian's fist won't be denied its victim, charging its way through the watery shield, and Arcos is taken aback, saying, "What? Well, well." Fist meets gut as Julian finally breaks through Arcos' shield, his hook nearly impaling Arcos' midsection and making him cough blood with a loud groan as he's launched backwards. Flipping himself right up with a well-timed hand on the ground, he catches his breath and thinks inwardly, "He broke through my water shield and blood armor and managed to wound me. This bastard!" Now, as Arcos pants heavily after the first exchange with Julian, Arcos' complete control over his blood allows him to heal himself up and regenerate, or at least partially, as he manages to stop the bleeding. Arcos cries out in delight, "Now we're talking! You are marvelous!" Arcos begins an inner monologue. "I have complete control over my blood. I needn't worry about bleeding out. Even my ruptured organs are already healed, since I covered them with a membrane of blood beforehand." And speaking aloud once more, Arcos summons water spears in the air, hurtling them towards Julian. "Now, allow me. Well, had enough punishment yet?" Julian's unfortunately unable to dodge every attack, spears piercing through every open, available spot on his body they can possibly target. Arcos just kind of laughs. "Ha! What is this kid made of? He's so tough. This crazy bastard isn't even trying to dodge." We see Julian is now just absolutely soaked in blood from the head down, but still swinging wildly with a left jab. However, as Julian seeks to land this punch, a slicing wave of water is summoned from the palm of Arcos' hand, who cuts clean through Julian's arm before he can make contact. And Arcos thinks to himself, "If regular water bolts aren't lethal, I'll crank up the density and the power." Aloud, Arcos jeers. "Ha ha! You're a damn fool! Attacking me twice without thinking?" Arcos is then silenced once again as Julian takes his own severed arm in midair and uses it as a club to Arcos' surprise, who yells, "What?" before being bludgeoned in the head by the very arm that Arcos just cut off. And hey, props to Julian. He wanted that left arm shot and he fucking landed it, albeit at the cost of his arm and not in a conventional way. However, still props to Julian nonetheless, that's badass. Arcos goes plummeting through several trees, finally slamming into a thick bark deep in the woods. And Julian, still holding his severed arm, approaches calmly with measured, composed steps, covered in blood from head to toe still. He examines the arm in his hand momentarily before tossing it over his shoulder with an eerily indifferent expression, and the bloodlust is palpable in his grim face. But Arcos just sneers and says, "Ugh, good. Show me more. Nothing beats unleashing your full potential. You get it, right?" And Julian simply stares back with cold, quiet, murderous fury, his left eye crackling with power. We cut away very briefly to the meadows, where Titi stands at the base of Engvall's corpse holding Diana, her breathing heavy and ragged. And even Diana can sense something off with Titi, her expression softening with concern ever so slightly. And it looks like Titi's about to either start crying or hyperventilating, one of the two. Now, once again, we're back in the forest, and Arcos conjures a bullet of water with his hands, transforming it into yet another slicing wave as the attacking Julian's left hand is bisected from his arm. "Ha ha ha! Another arm rendered useless!" Arcos taunts. The attack, though, much to Arcos' dismay, is not useless in fact, as Julian slams his nubby arm like the end of a log into Arcos' eye hard enough to once again send him flying through midair and landing on his hands and knees, his vision now rendered half obsolete. The chapter ends as Arcos grunts out in pain. "Ugh! You insane son of a bitch!" As Julian, expression darkened by pure rage, stands over him like that, with one arm missing, one hand severed, blood spewing out in every single direction, and an undying will to avenge Engvall, his friend, and his family, embodied by every fiber of his being. The closing tagline to this chapter reads, "Nothing compares to the pain of losing Engvall." End chapter. Finally, we're getting our first real human versus human fight in the series. Most of Julian's battles up until this point have just been with ungodly eldritch deities of mass destruction, or the exact flip side of that in a bunch of fodder soldiers from Rungbalkar. I mean, technically there was Engvall versus Guillaume, but that fight lasted for all of one chapter, and no one was critically injured. I mean, Guillaume got bitched, but aside from that, nothing of value really happened. You might also make the case for Julian's straight Uchiha clan massacring every single pirate aboard the slave trade ship, but it's exactly what I just called it, a massacre. It's not a real fight. They didn't have time to fight back, just like they didn't give the slaves any time to fight back. So this is the first real time in Centuria that Julian has faced a powerful human threat, and right now, Arcos and Julian are fairly evenly matched for the most part. One thing I would like to point out, though, is that Julian is not using his power consciously or actively, the way Arcos is, and I believe that's due to his emotional state being overwhelmed with the grief of watching Engvall get a hole blown through her fucking chest while waving to him as she dies in front of him. So therefore, he doesn't really care about making a huge display with his powers, and he has yet to use anything outside of the core super strength and the heightened physical abilities that come with the combined life force of 100 souls and bodies within him. And for that reason, I'm going to go ahead and give Julian the advantage in this battle. Arcos is putting up some of his best spells and attacks on the line right now in the story. And at this point, they're only just plot devices for Julian to aura farm some more. I mean, come on, man. Seriously? Using your fucking severed arm as it got chopped off in midair as a club to just go ahead and bash Arcos in the face with. Dude, we are fucking giving this one to Julian. That is absolutely badass. I love this chapter, and I can't wait to see Julian beat the brakes off of Arcos some more, because I think most of the fandom is in agreement that Arcos is just a complete piece of shit. And when he gets his, the entire world is going to be cheering. So let me know what you guys thought about this chapter, if you liked it, if you disliked it, what your predictions are for the rest of the story, and anything you feel is relevant to the conversation. I love getting new opinions from you guys to discuss on Centuria, and if you have any questions about the series for me to possibly make videos on about answering those questions, leave a comment, let me know. I'll be sure to answer you to the best of my capabilities. Thank you guys so much for watching. Hit that like button for more Centuria content, and drop a follow if you want Satoru Gojo himself to show up on your doorstep tonight. This is not a joke. If you follow me right now, Gojo will appear at your house later tonight. No joke. But anyway, guys, God bless you. Thank you so much for watching. Have a wonderful rest of your day.